Hello again. Here's how to make a windmill out of a plastic drinks bottle. You can use this small type, this is about 500 mils, or you can use the larger 2 litre plastic drinks bottle. But they do need to be the cylindrical kind, not the rectangular kind. To make the windmill, you don't really need a lot of equipment. You need a permanent marker pen, a ruler. If you've got one of these safety rulers, that even better, because when you lay it on the bottle, it will naturally stay parallel as you move it round. So it's not essential, you can use an ordinary ruler. And you will need a pair of scissors that, at least with one of the blades, is pointed to help cutting out the blades of the windmill. Now we are going to have to make some holes in this bottle. You can use the pointed blade of the scissors. You just have to be very careful doing this by pushing and twisting. I suppose you could use a small drill, but by far the easiest way to make holes is using a soldering iron. Now obviously these are extremely hot, and in most cases the holes would have to be made by an adult. If you're just going to make one, I don't think there's too much of a problem with the small amount of fumes that are given off, but if you're going to make a lot, then it would need to be done in a well ventilated room. So the first thing we've got to do is to mark out the circumference of the bottle so that the blades that we're going to make are evenly spaced around. I find that these seem to work better if you have an odd number of blades, so 3, 5, 7 or 9 blades. You can just mark them out by eye, but I like to do it accurately so it looks neat. So what I do is I get a strip of paper which is the equal length to the circumference of the bottle, and then with a ruler, having decided how many blades, I'm going to make a windmill with 5 blades here. I mark out an equal space between the blades, and just so that I know what I'm doing, I've numbered each of the blades 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if you can see that. And then I've got a hole punch and punched holes at each mark. I can then position this on the bottle. Now if you look carefully on any plastic drinks bottle, you will see there's a seam mark. I don't suppose you can see this on the video. There's like a mark that runs down there, so that's a handy reference point. So I can put a mark on there with the permanent pen and then use that to position the strip of paper around like that. I think I'm just going to hold it in place. You could use sellotape to fix it in place, and now I can make the marks on each hole. Doesn't matter if it's not perfectly accurate. Here we go. I think that's it. That's all the marks done. So now we've got the 5 blades marked out, and now this is where this ruler comes in handy, because all you have to do is to lay it on the bottle and it will naturally find its own vertical position. And now I'm just going to draw a series of lines, slide it round. Oops, there we go. Slide it along to the next mark. Possibly a little bit easier if you're doing this with the larger bottle. It's not quite as fiddly. There we go, another one. I've no evidence for saying that odd number of blades is better than an even number. I've just convinced myself that with an even number of blades perhaps the windmill could find a balance point. I must actually do an experiment sometime to prove that an odd number is better. I can't claim to have invented this. I'm sure lots of people will come up with this. I was first shown this particular idea for making a Coke bottle windmill from a colleague of mine a long time ago that I worked with called Les Campbell. Les, if you're still out there, do get in touch. So now we can join up. It's the wider parts of the blade. So I'm just going to draw across my eye there. There's a slight ridge that's helping me, and again there's another seam line near the base here that I can follow with the pen. Nearly there. Okay, that's the 5 blades marked out. Next we're going to make the holes. We could try and cut it out from there, but if you make pilot holes, then it's much easier to get the scissors in and cut the blade out. So I'm going to make a hole in each corner of each blade using a soldering iron. Once again, obviously this is very hot, and I wouldn't let pupils do this themselves unless they were closely supervised. And if you can do a lot of these, you definitely need to think about doing it in a ventilated room. But you can see how easy and quick it is to make the holes. That's 2 done. Three. I'm just thinking perhaps I should have had one I made earlier, but we're nearly there. And the last one. Whoop, there we go. And the very last hole. There we are. So that's the holes made. Now I'm going to use the scissors to cut out the blades, and I'm only going to cut along 3 of the line. I'm going to cut along there, up there and along there, and I'm not going to cut along the 4th side. And once you start, if you're going to do that, cut that, then you have to make sure that you do the same as you go all the way around. So you do need to concentrate doing this. It is very easy to forget the sequence. I'm going to cut along here. It's so much easier with the pilot holes. There we are. So I haven't cut out that line. So now we're working along the next one. I'm going to do exactly the same. It doesn't really matter which side you leave uncut. You can have windmills that go clockwise, spin clockwise or anti-clockwise. And the advantage of this design of windmill is that it will spin in wind blowing from any direction. It doesn't need to be turned into the wind or facing the wind. And it will spin in a very light breeze as well. So that's 2 done, that's 3 done actually. The 4th one, use the pointed part of the scissors. Along here. Whoop, there we are. And then the last one. There we are. That's the 5 blades cut out. Now the clever thing about this design that Les showed me was that if I was making this at this point, I would bend the blades outwards, and you could do that. It works perfectly well. But what he showed me was that you can bend them inwards. So just get the blade between your finger and thumb. I don't know if you see what I'm doing here, and just lightly pinch the plastic bottle along that line so that it folds inwards at about a right angle to the side of the bottle. Now I don't know if you can see that. Can you see the blade inside there? It's easy to adjust these. If you bend it too far, you can bend it back again. And then work your way around, bending each of the 5 blades inwards. Just use your finger and the thumb to pinch, like that. quite easy to do. I'm a perfectionist, so I like to try and get them parallel. You can adjust it by going back and re-pinching them. I think this is number 3. That's okay. Number 4. And number 5. There we are. Now I don't know if you can see the profile of the blades inside the bottle there. And I think why this design is successful is that there's less drag. If the blades were sticking out, it would work, but the blades themselves would cause drag as they span through the air. With the blades pointing inwards, the air comes in, hits the blade inside the bottle, pushes it round. Because the blades are inside, there's less drag. Now, for an axle, you can use perhaps a piece of dowel here that could go up inside, and you could glue a drawing pin onto the end with a glue gun, or fix it on with sticky tape. If you can't find any dowel, I've used good old standard square section wood, C100. I've glued a drawing pin onto the end here, and then simply slide the bottle on. There's usually a little moulding mark that you can get the drawing pin to spin in, and it should spin round. There we are. That's working fine. You could further enhance it perhaps by putting some coloured tape along here, make it a bit more colourful. I have seen these used as bird scarers on allotments. As you can see, it spins perfectly well with the neck of the bottle rattling around here. It works fine. If you want to refine it even further, you can cut a hole out of the top and screw that on, and it will make it spin a little bit more accurately. There we go. So I hope you enjoy making these simple inside blade plastic drinks bottle windmills.